Hi everybody, it's Maria Willis here, and I'm so glad to have you joining me because today is launch day for Tonic Studios Stamp Club's newest release. This month's release is called Shoot for the Stars, and it is a fabulous release. It's great for making all those starry night skies, galaxies, and it coordinates perfectly with many of our past Stamp Club releases. Let's dive in now and take a closer look at many of the different ways that you can use this bundle. Now you can immediately see that this Shoot for the Stars bundle is similar stylistically to the Shoot for the Moon bundle. The stamp set includes horizon lines and a variety of small and large stamps to create beautiful projects. The die set coordinates with the stamps and has an additional few whimsical dies. The Shoot for the Moon stamp set is also re-releasing. This is a companion set to Shoot for the Stars, and these two sets are designed so that they can easily work together. Let's start our closer look at this stamp set by checking out this moon. This smaller moon is a replica of the large moon from the Shoot for the Moon stamp set. Here I am just stamping it in gray ink onto a piece of white cardstock. Now I want to show you how you can do a two-tone moon. First I'm stamping in dark blue ink, and now I'm going to add color in with ink blending. I'm adding yellow to the moon I stamped in gray and light blue to the moon I stamped in blue. It's that easy to add some color to your moons. Now let's take a look at the stamp set again. There are all of these tiny background stamps, and I think that sometimes people wonder, what do I do with all of these tiny little stamps? Let me show you what I like to do. So I'm just going to arrange them randomly on the top half of my card background. I'm placing them evenly spaced apart, and again only on the top half of my card background, because after I stamp I'm just going to rotate my card and I'm going to stamp the other half. So there I am rotating it, and now I will easily be able to stamp the other half without having to reapply my stamps to my stamp platform. Now let's take a look at how this technique will look on a card. This is a 5x7 card, and I heat embossed those small stamps onto the background, and I just love the way it looks. Let's now look at this long string of stars. You can stamp this stamp in a straight line. You can go back and forth across, or you can turn your cardstock to get a little bit more of a wonky and imperfect look. I love the way that that looks. Now, because these stamps are photopolymer and they are bendable, you can simply add a little bit of arch to that string of stars, and you can create an entirely different look using the same stamp. So here's what that will look like. Now, if you shift your paper, you can have those arches going in different directions and really create a beautiful look. So there are two very different looks using the same stamp, and here's what that will look like on a card. I paired this heat embossed background with the bold letter dies from the Backgrounds and Borders release, and it worked out perfectly. Now let's take a look at some of these sentiments. I love sentiments that are easy to stamp and easy to cut, and many of the sentiments in this stamp set are just that. So I've heat embossed this sentiment in white onto black cardstock, and with one easy cut I have a perfect little sentiment. Now let's check out some of these other sentiments. These are done in such a fun font, and they are designed so that you can build your own sentiments by piecing them together. I like to use the lines on my MISTI to line them up so that I know that my stamp is level, and I'm stamping right now onto the inside of a card base. I do like to add sentiments to the inside of my card bases, and this is such an easy way to do it. And "You are the brightest star in the sky" is a sentiment I chose to add. Now let's take a closer look at this die set. This has got so many fun dies, and here's a look at some of them. I wanted to show you the different things that you can do with these dies, and these star dies, you can cut them out and you can layer or stack them, or you can die cut them together to create frames. There are also two beautiful word dies, Star and Wish. There are also some clouds, lightning bolt, two additional sets of stars in different shapes and sizes, as well as a large circular star die. Now let's take a closer look at these star dies. I want to show you how to create a frame. Take two sizes of the stars, layer them together, and then tape them so that they won't move when you run them through your die cutting machine. Run them through the die cutting machine together, and when you bring them out, you're going to have that inner star as well as a frame. And you can use the frames just as they are, or you can use them to actually frame out other stars that you've cut. Now you can use the negative space from your die cuts to create shaker cards, or you can use the negative space to create stencils as I've done here. And this is a really easy way to create a colorful background easily. Now here are some card samples showing you how I've used these stars in different ways, both as focal points, as decorative elements around the sentiment, and as background elements as well. Here is a look at those cloud dies and how I've used them on a card together with the lightning bolt, and that sentiment is from the Happy Mail envelope stamp set. Now let's take a look at these moon dies. Obviously that outer circle can be very simply used to cut out the moons that we colored in earlier. But this moon die comes with a second piece, which is an embossing plate. That little embossing plate will add detail to your die cuts. Place it in the center of the moon die cut and tape the two pieces together so that they won't wiggle around in your die cut machine. This will work best if you use a soft paper. I have used Hollow Waves holographic paper to create this moon. One run through that die cut machine and you've got a perfect textured moon. Now here is an example of how I've used that small moon as part of a scene on a large slimline card, and this card is an example of using the moons as focal points. Now let's take another look at these word dies because I've got an application tip for you. These each come in two pieces. There's a larger piece that is a halo or shadow background piece. I'm going to cut those out of white. Now I've got a piece of black cardstock and some double-sided adhesive sheet. I'm just going to peel off some of the backing from the double-sided adhesive and adhere my black cardstock onto that. I'm going to cut off the excess and save that for another project, and now I'm left with this black piece of cardstock that is basically a sticker. Now I'm going to tape my dies down to the front of my black cardstock and cut it down so it's easy to fit in my die cut machine. I'm going to crank those through, and when they come out, I've got both the white halo pieces that are going to be the background for my die cut words, and then I've got these black pieces that are now stickers. So I'm going to pull that off, and I'm being careful to keep the word inside of the die because I'm going to show you a trick for perfect placement. Place your die with the sticker inside on top of the halo background. Line it up perfectly, and then use your craft pick to poke through those little holes to adhere the two pieces together. A couple pinches will finish the adhesion, and now you have a perfectly placed die. Now if your die cut sticker does come out of your die, don't worry about it. Mine got stuck to my finger, and so I just applied it with my craft pick, and it was also a very easy application, and I ended up getting this one perfectly centered too. I love that the dot for this eye is attached to the eye and you'll never have to worry about losing it. Now here's one example of me using this large wish die on a card so you can see what that looks like. Now getting back to the die set, let's take a look at these horizon dies. They do both line up with the horizon stamps, and if you just use the stamp and the die together, this is what that will look like. But you can also use these dies on their own and you can create stencils. So I have created a set of stencils with each of these dies, and I am using them to ink blend mountain scenes onto the bottom of a background panel that I had already ink blended in advance. This is such an easy way to turn your card into a soft and beautiful mountain scene. Now let's take a look at this circular star die. This die can be used in a variety of different ways. You can use it as a focal point cut straight into your background like I did for this light up card. You can also die cut it and then use a larger circle die to cut it out and pop it up on a card front. You can also use this die to create some really adorable confetti, and I love doing that with metal sheets, and this time I'm using silver. So you can see now I'm left with that beautiful focal point as well as a whole bunch of these adorable little silver confetti pieces. So now we have all of the ingredients for making a really beautiful card, so I think we should put one together. I squeezed a drop of my glitter gloss pen into the lid, and I'm using the bristles to flick it onto my background so that I can add some background shimmer, and it even ends up looking like a starry background. Now I'm going to grab my sentiment that we heat embossed earlier and add that to the bottom of the card, and I had a little trouble trying to decide which moon to use, but I did end up going for that holographic dry embossed moon because I love that holographic look and the texture was perfect. And then I added those silver metal stars to the background and adhered them with my Nuvo glue. Now we did stamp the inside of a card earlier, so now this card says, "In a sky full of stars, you are the brightest star in the sky." Okay, you guys, now that we've gone through the release, I'm going to show you some samples of cards that I've made using this Shoot for the Stars bundle. I want you to notice that I'm also using it together with Shoot for the Moon, a Whaley Great stamp set, and backgrounds and borders. These sets are all designed to work together, so make sure that you're thinking about stamps that you already have in your stash and what you can use together to maximize all of the possibilities. Shoot for the Stars, Shoot for the Moon, and a Whaley Great stamp set are all available now exclusively from Tonic Studios. To get more information or go straight to the website, click the link in the description box below. Thank you so much, and I hope you all have a wonderful day. Happy crafting!